Sharpening your wood turning tools may not be as fun as using them, but it's an essential part of the wood turning process. If these edges are dull, your end grain cuts will have a lot more tear out, and even your face grain cuts won't be as smooth as they could be. And you know what all of that means: more sanding. The bottom line is, turning and sharpening go hand in hand. If you're not periodically sharpening your tools while you're turning, your wood turning results are going to suffer. And you won't experience the enjoyment of sharp edges cutting well. One way to make sharpening a more natural part of the turning process is to have your sharpening system as close as possible to your lathe. And that was my inspiration for designing this lathe tool sharpening station. It's very easy to build, and I think it's going to add real convenience to your wood turning. The framework for this cart is Rockler's Rocksteady Shop Stand Kit. That's all the black powder-coated steel parts you see here. The cart's heavy duty, and it measures 32 inches wide by 20 inches deep by 32 inches tall. And by adding these optional swiveling locking casters, it raises the station to a comfortable 36.5-inch working height. Rockler has engineered this Rocksteady shop stand with a number of helpful features and accessories that make the cabinet building aspect of this project simpler. These perforations in the legs make it easy to close the station in with walls using 1/2-inch plywood and short screws. Rockler also offers these drawer shelf brackets as accessories for the stand. They bolt onto the legs wherever you need them, and they're machined to accept standard 20-inch drawer slides like this. You can also install cabinet doors on these stands using Rockler's hinge brackets, which also simply bolt onto the stand's legs. They accept both inset and overlay Euro-style cup hinges. We'll come back to how I outfitted the interior of this stand a little later. But you might have noticed its metal top. It's a double-thick lamination of 1/2-inch plywood, and I added an aluminum facing to it. 1-inch thick plywood will make this top plenty stiff to support a heavy grinder. And if you use a dry grinding system like this, the aluminum facing will safeguard against sparks. Or if you use a wet grinding system instead, water spills will be easy to clean up without staining, swelling, or rusting the surface. Over here, you can see that I've cut a 6-inch slot and 6 holes through the top. And here's what they're for. Now, here was my thinking behind these holes. When I'm in the middle of a turning project, I like to keep the tools that I'm using close at hand. And I switch back and forth between tools pretty often, so I want to be able to put them down close by. Now, oftentimes that means laying them on the bed of my lathe or on the closest corner of a bench I can find. But lathe tools roll, and you know what that means. If they take a dive to the floor, the cutting edges get dinged. But with these holes in the top, that won't happen. Scrapers, gouges, skews, and other tools store vertically, so they can't roll away, and they're both easy to see and reach. But as every wood turner knows, the longer you're turning wood, the more lathe tools you're going to buy. And you can't store them all over here. So that's what these 2 big drawers are for. Their plywood construction and rabbet and dado joints makes them easy to build. And I've outfitted mine with these simple tool holders, so you can set a full collection of lathe tools onto them for spacious and safe storage between uses. And the interior width of these drawers is just a bit over 26 inches, which is big enough to store many of today's longer one-piece bowl gouges. But you probably have more than just lathe tools you'd like to store, like chucks and face plates, maybe a face shield, or even another sharpener. And that's what this lower closed cabinet is for. Use it however you see fit, or not. You could add a couple more drawers here instead if you like. The choice is totally up to you. So there you have it, an all-in-one solution that can roll your sharpening system and lathe tools right over to where the action is. Learn how to build our lathe tool sharpening station in the June 2022 issue of Woodworker's Journal magazine. I'm Chris Marshall with Woodworker's Journal and Rockler, and thanks for watching.